Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about those terrible events that have been happening in Minneapolis and across the United States. I'm of course talking about these demonstrations that went wrong and were caused by an awful death that was a result of a bad arrest that happened in Minnesota. This thing has been spreading like wildfire across the country. Riots have been going on all over the place. They're continuing throughout the weekend. And as always, the leftists are more than happy to try and defend this stuff. They want this rioting and looting and disabling of the freedom of other people to happen. They want chaos. They want people to be scared. They're constantly fear-mongering on the left. And today's really no different. Today we're talking about a certain journalist who has been denying that this whole problem is happening. She's trying to call out President Trump in this tweet we're about to go over, and she's basically denying reality. And in this case, it's especially bad because the reporter we're talking about today, she works for PBS. PBS is, of course, a public broadcasting service. That means our tax dollars are going to pay for her salary. We're paying for PBS, which has become this sort of very far left-wing news agency on top of providing other services, of course, too. It originally had a pretty good motto and a pretty good idea. PBS at its core is supposed to be a public service, give people educational programs, some information about what's going on in the country. It's just a little way to kick back. And when I was a kid, I always thought of it as a way to kind of give kids stuff to watch. I think Arthur is one of the shows on there. Sesame Street. Kids shows are on there along with news. And that's what makes it kind of interesting and weird too, because recently, along with all the other left-wing mainstream media, PBS has gotten increasingly woke as well. We actually covered them a few years ago when they made this kind of woke gaming video with this weird guy with glasses who was just calling everything racist, kind of doing a Anita Sarkeesian thing on PBS, on the public broadcasting service. I mean, that's where things get really messed up here for me. It's one thing for these news companies to have reporters that are biased when they're kind of doing their own thing. CNN's a separate company, MSNBC, they're all owned by liberals. But the fact that our tax dollars are going to fund this kind of craziness, that's what should be really worrying about today's story. So with all that said, let's go ahead and check out the tweet in question. That's from the PBS reporter. Her name is Yamiche Alcindor. I believe she's a White House reporter too. She's one of the ones that asks a lot of dumb questions at these press conferences. She's always covering the president. And she's also just one of those typical kind of angry minority characters, female reporters asking biased questions, going after the president in unfair ways, trying to race bait him and stuff too. And as you can see right here, this tweet is another instance of her saying something really, really silly. It says, "These people are anarchists," President Trump says, without providing any evidence. This is a response to Donald J. Trump. He said, "Get tough Democrat mayors and governors. These people are anarchists. Call in our National Guard now. The world is watching and laughing at you and Sleepy Joe. Is this what America wants? No." This is from 19 hours ago. And I think the president makes a really good point. I'm not sure about this response. As we'll see soon, we're going to go over these replies. And she gets totally handed to in the response because Yamiche is just not getting what's going on. I don't know if she's been living under a rock all weekend, but the president's saying the right thing. He's telling the mayors and governors to get tough. And in this case, all these places are in Democratic areas. I mean, the riots are just happening in liberal places, and that's for a number of reasons. I mean, first of all, like Trump's kind of highlighting, the leaders there are awful. They don't know what they're doing. They let the chaos happen. They haven't sent in the cops and the authorities when they should. They're afraid to arrest people. They don't want to be considered biased or racist either. That's part of the problem. They're race baiting this story in the beginning, and now they're at a point where they can't even arrest these rioters and looters that they inspired. So that's the initial instance, and then we go on to this anarchist claim, and I think it's pretty obvious, as you'll see. I mean, I could just scroll down a little bit here and show you guys some graffiti and some shots here. The people are showing examples. Here's them all kind of going after this truck and pulling some guy out of a truck. This guy was just trying to do his job, deliver some oil or something in the back there. And yeah, this is what I'd call anarchy. This is fair to say it's anarchist. There are people bashing the window. It's not actually funny at all. It's very serious, very scary. I'd be really creeped out if I was the driver who's getting pulled out there. And yeah, the funny thing is that there's actually people that will still deny this is happening. We still have this Yam reporter here, and she's acting like there's no proof of the anarchy. There's no proof that these people have no sorts of values or interest in upholding the law, following the rules, being a peaceful citizen. No, they're crazy. They're anarchists, meaning they have no order. They're not listening to authority or rules or anything. And I think Trump saying that is pretty much a given. I mean, the only reason this person would even deny this is true is just because Trump said it. That's the Trump derangement syndrome talking. They can't admit anything the president says is wrong. And then also, in addition, Yamicha is one of those reporters like we've seen with Wei Zhejiang and other reporters from CNN, CBS, the ones in the White House. They all play these games. They're all going after the president's every tweet. They're basically like reply girls to the president. Every single tweet, they try to tear it apart. And it's gotten to a point where they can't even like see straight. They don't even know when it's not to say something. I mean, this is a case where you're defending these rioters. They're trying to pretend nothing's going on here. That's what the left is going for right now. They want to pretend it's like a peaceful demonstration. That's why they still call them protesters in a lot of cases, trying to act like there's some kind of reason or order to this. They want to give them justification. They want to hark back to that terrible case, that bad arrest that killed somebody. That what everyone says was wrong. I mean, no one's defending that. No one's supporting that. That's why the guy's been put under arrest. Like, justice is getting served. It's working its way through. But that's not really relative because these rioters, they aren't really related. They don't really care about the case. They don't really care, oh, this one person died. Because, I mean, at this point, what they're doing is far worse. I mean, we're seeing chaos. We're seeing great anarchist moves. We're seeing people destroy stuff. We're seeing people hurt people. People have died. Like, multiple people have died. I don't have a final number on that, but I've already gone through it on a stream and other stuff. Like, there's people dying in each of these cities. There's people getting injured. It's far worse than what's happened in the original incident. And that just goes to show they're not truly inspired by that, because if they really cared and they wanted to stop that kind of violence, they wouldn't be going out and causing more violence. It's not a proper line of thought. It just is them kind of using that as an excuse. And it's also an excuse for reporters like this one to kind of pretend Trump isn't talking truth, isn't speaking about what's really going on. And as I said before, the added layer here is making it really worse because, again, they work at PBS. They're paid for by our tax dollars. Our tax dollars are paying for this chick to tell the president that there's no anarchy right now, like to lie about him, to make stuff up, constantly race baiting, coming up with bullshit questions and stuff that doesn't make any sense. And that's why they're going to get handed to them in these responses. Let's go and read into them. I see Matt here says, is it even possible to miss the evidence? I don't know. I've been seeing videos every time I look on TV in the internet, and every time I check a Twitter or look at a Facebook feed or anything. I mean, it's out there. It's obvious. There's fires. There's people getting, into fights, throwing bricks. Like, it's anarchy. I don't know why this person is trying to pretend it doesn't happen. I mean, I think they're also trying to maybe like nitpick and say, oh, Trump needs to provide evidence for this claim. Like, he's writing a book report or something. Like, oh, he needs to support his evidence. Where's your bibliography, Mr. President? It's like, dude, he just tweeted about something that's happening in the news. Everyone knows it's going on. Everyone's seen it. And she's trying to give him like this kind of weird gotcha that doesn't make any sense. And here you can see Anthony posting a link to a picture with a lot of graffiti showing that things have been going on at this music center. Here, Mark says, can you get any more insane? Clown emoji. Okay, this next one's a good point. It says, this CNN without any evidence shtick is getting really old. And I agree. I can see how this is that kind of lame claim. It's just like trying to say, you could say that on any sentence that someone says. Like, oh, someone wakes up in the morning and says, oh, I want breakfast. I'm kind of hungry. And it's like, without any evidence, how are you hungry? Or, a more specific example, you could be talking about the news saying, oh, the president visited Florida today. He saw that rocket launch and stuff, and people will say without any evidence, they just want to gotcha you. It's like what people do in those kind of debate me bro situations. They try to call for like research, like where's your research, where's your link, like they try to put you on the spot in random situations just to show like you're dumb because I asked for evidence and you don't have it like on hand. But President Trump is just on Twitter, like he's just saying a few things. He's not writing an official report. Like if we actually were handing in some kind of decree or some kind of statement, like there would be evidence, there would be the support, a video, a line. paperwork, something like that. But this is just silly, and I think Luke is pointing this out because it's a common tactic for like CNN and these left-wing reporter types. I mean, I know Yamicha is a PBS reporter, but it's the same thing. I mean, she basically falls in the same line with them and MSNBC, CNN, and they will say without evidence to try to act like the president just makes stuff up. And their followers will buy that up too because they're not really paying attention close. They're not really giving anyone the benefit of the doubt, especially Trump. So they'll just happily believe it and be like, oh, he doesn't have evidence, so it's not true. It's like, no, we know it's true. We've seen the evidence all over. The broken windows and raging fires aren't enough. That's the stronger point. We can see the evidence in the streets. This is the video evidence we just looked over. The military has proof that the far-left pro-democratic terrorist organization Antifa is urging people through coordinated communications to consider Minnesota National Guard troops easy targets. So that's pretty much a good proof right there. He has an AP News article linked showing that these rioters, Antifa, who's now been called a terrorist group, as they should be, and it shows that they're coordinated and they have these plans. They're getting people together. They're sending each other messages, getting things out there. This person mentions that there are several photos circling around of protesters with the Antifa logo, spray painting on buildings. Is that not enough evidence? Yeah, they're basically spray painting on everything. We saw that picture earlier that someone posted. We've seen the evidence online. I mean, it's not that hard to find. There's a good little meme of Trump dancing it off, doing the little floss dance, showing that we don't care about no fake news from PBS. Here, let me help. Here's the thesaurus or definition. It says a person who advocates or believes in anarchy or anarchism. Yeah, I would say going to Target and destroying the store and stealing what you want, not following any rules or paying for your stuff. That's pretty much typical anarchy. We've all seen that happen all over the weekend. Here's some evidence. You're on Twitter and you can't even do basic research. No amount of tear gas will pacify this nationwide uprising. The U.S. will fail. This is from Seattle Antifa. This is the revolution. This is our time. We will make no excuses for this terror. Okay. Yamicha is wrong. We see plenty of it. She's an enemy of the U.S. Yes, she is. Enemy of the people. The press is the enemy of the people. This is fake news. And then I think I'll just go to Explore here. And we'll just go right. Look, I just click Explore and I could get you guys more evidence. Because right here, if you just look at the cleanup, I mean, this is the aftermath. This is the painting they had to take down. They're doing cleanup. Here's the stuff that's on fire. Here's the cop car turned over. There's lots of damages, people not following the law, fires in the background. Military has to show up to try to stop stuff. Cops on the line, tear gas. I don't know what other evidence you could need. It doesn't make any sense to pretend it doesn't exist. There's obviously lots of chaos, lots of stuff to worry about. This guy's picking up some trash or glass, I believe. This guy's cleaning up this. So this is just a cleanup. This is the aftermath. But clearly something happened to be cleaned up. People are trying to take things back, and we got this painting. We've got things boarded up. People trying to unboard them now maybe, or fix the windows, clean. It's all out there. The evidence is out there. The only way you could not see that there's anarchy and there's anarchists and these people need to be stopped is if you don't want to see it. If you're trying to pretend they're doing something right, like how maybe PBS believes or that biased reporter, a lot of left-wingers try to defend this stuff. And that's why we got to keep covering it, keep spelling the news out to people, showing them what's really going on, not letting this fake news narrative take over. And that's what we're talking about today. And I think that about gets it. Make sure you guys also comment your thoughts on everything below. Let's talk about this story some more. Tell me what you think about this government-funded employee telling us that anarchy, it doesn't exist out there, feigning an interest in delivering the news when really not, really more interested in bashing the president. Doesn't make sense to me, but let's see what you guys think. Talk about it below. Also hit that like button, and until next time, you guys have a great day.